This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. I'm Derek Gilbert. If you're catching us here on YouTube, thank you. Our address here is at 5 in 10. Please subscribe, click that bell for notifications, and then stick around after the break because you have the power to make sure we never get canceled. I'll tell you how. Topic number 5 today, Joe Biden. Will he drop out? That family meeting Sunday at Camp David that I told you about yesterday, apparently the family advised President to stay the course, stick with it. And they blamed everybody but Joe Biden for his disastrous debate performance Thursday night. They blamed his aides, the way they prepared him. They blamed the CNN moderators, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, for not fact-checking Donald Trump in real time, as though it's their responsibility to do it instead of I was in high school debate. I thought the whole point of the debate was to counter your opponent's arguments and call them out when they're not telling the truth. President Biden didn't. Some Democrats claiming that he was just over-prepared, and the White House floating the idea that he had a cold. Well, anyway, top Democrats are tiptoeing around the issue, but some apparently behind the scenes are advocating for replacing Joe Biden on the ticket, including Barack Obama. This is according to Tucker Carlson, citing an unusually well-placed source. Obama privately lobbying to get rid of Joe Biden, telling Democrat insiders that he can't beat Trump. And according to Tucker, the driving force behind Joe Biden staying in the race is Jill Biden, who was instrumental in convincing him to run in 2020, even though other family members, including Joe Biden's sister Val, thought that he was too cognitively impaired to run. Well, as we mentioned yesterday, Bill O'Reilly claims the decision to replace Biden has already been made. Just they're trying to figure out how to make that announcement. We will see. If he refuses to drop out, the Democratic National Committee has a real problem because it will have a tough time replacing him. There are legal and political challenges, not least of which is Kamala Harris, who reportedly, again, citing insiders, is furious that she's not being discussed as a potential replacement for Joe Biden. But the fact is that in head-to-head surveys, she polls worse against Donald Trump than Joe Biden does. And Democrats are very much aware of that. She's also demonstrated a shocking lack of competence in things that have been assigned to her, like the border. So they've got a real issue on their hands, the Democrats do. And I'm not saying this from any sense of glee or anything. I would much rather see our president exhibiting, being sharp on the world stage. As one person posted to X over the weekend, to our friends and allies around the world, please look away. This is our own private humiliation. Let us suffer in privacy here. Democratic National Committee rules allow it to select a replacement. The easiest path for President Biden to leave the race would be for Democrats to nominate him officially at the convention and then for Biden to step aside. Then DNC rules would allow them to simply name a replacement. But again, the question is, who do they pick? Because Kamala Harris apparently not going to go quietly. If he stays the course and stays through November, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he stays in the race all the way to the end, who's really on the ballot? Because what we saw Thursday night made it clear that Joe Biden is not running the executive branch of this government. So who is? Who would we really be voting for if we vote for Joe Biden? Will anyone in Congress have the courage to invoke the 25th Amendment, which allows for the removal of a president who could no longer discharge his duties? Or are they so afraid of a Kamala Harris presidency that they will just grit their teeth and wait until November? I think that's probably the likely course. Topic number 4, Donald Trump. He got some good news from the Supreme Court Monday morning. The court ruled 6-3 along political lines that the president, and this is not just Trump, but any U.S. president, has absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts while he's in office. Now, bear in mind, this does not apply to unofficial acts, and not everything a president does while he is president is an official act. There'll probably be some legal arguments over what constitutes an official act for which the president is immune. We'll see how this affects his legal issues. Trump's lawyers filed this appeal to try to dismiss the case brought against him by special counsel Jack Smith in Washington, D.C. 4 felony counts for alleged efforts to overturn the election in 2020. The court also ruled on Friday that the Department of Justice interpreted an obstruction statute too broadly in hundreds of cases related to the January 6th, 2021 riots at the U.S. Capitol. Basically, it was a statute that was passed by Congress in the wake of the Enron scandal back in the 90s for the destruction of documents that would have been related to the case. This was stretched to apply to any official proceeding where documents might be used, like the certification of the 2020 election on January 6th. That was applied in hundreds of cases, and in one of the cases, Trump's case filed by Jack Smith, 2 of the charges brought by him related to this statute. So it remains to be seen how this will play out in court, but hundreds of the January 6th rioter cases brought by the federal government may now be tossed, or at least the sentencings reduced accordingly. Speaking of the Supreme Court, topic number 3, several important rulings last week by the court on free speech. The court rejected a challenge brought over the White House's communications with social media companies, arm twisting, actually, over political content and content related to the pandemic. Basically, the White House reaching out to Twitter, now X, and Facebook to censor speech that was not found compatible with the official narrative. The court ruled 6-3 against the plaintiffs, Justices Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch dissenting. The plaintiffs in Murphy v. Missouri had claimed, among other things, that the Biden administration had illegally coerced social media companies to moderate certain election-related content and posts related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The court found that the state of Missouri and the individual plaintiffs in the case lacked standing to sue. This is similar to a previous ruling by the Supreme Court. Because it affected a lot of people, no individual person or individual state had standing to sue. So the White House, this sets a lousy precedent. The White House can continue to strong-arm social media companies. Look, if Facebook or X wants to ban certain types of speech on their platform, private company, they can do what they want. But for the White House, behind the scenes, to coerce those companies to do that, that is a violation of our free speech rights. The court didn't rule on whether the White House was right or wrong. They just said, the plaintiffs don't have standing to sue, so we'll let the ruling stand. That's a lousy decision, and Justice Alito wrote as much in his dissent. Some good news, though, from the Supreme Court. On Friday, it issued a ruling that limits the power of federal agencies to regulate through rules. In other words, to legislate without having to go through Congress. This was also a 6-3 decision. The justice has vacated a 1984 doctrine called the Chevron deference. It allows federal agencies to essentially make law by just passing regulations that were not made explicit by Congress. This challenge originated with a rule issued in 2020 by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which required fishing companies to have monitors on their boats and to pay for those monitors, $700 a day, which in some cases was more than the daily profit made by those fishing boats. So anyway, the plaintiffs had gone to court saying, hey, look, this is not part of the law. This was not what was intended when Congress passed the law. And Supreme Court has ruled. This is really a seismic shift in the way the executive branch has exceeded its constitutional authority. And again, we'll have to wait and see how this all shakes out. Topic number 2, Israel. White House, again, we got more confirmation over the weekend. White House holding up weapons systems. Representative Mike McCall telling Fox News on Sunday 7 specific systems have been held up. Turkey, over the weekend, refused to service an El Al flight. That's the Israeli airline, flying from Warsaw to Tel Aviv, and made an emergency stop in Antalya, Turkey, because of a medical emergency. The ground crew refused a request to refuel the plane. This is in violation of international aviation laws. Flights between Israel and Turkey have been suspended since October 7th. And of course, Turkey's leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, one of Israel's most vocal critics in the ongoing war with Hamas. And the Arab League has apparently recategorized Hezbollah, no longer considering it a terrorist organization. some question as to how official this ruling is. This came about after a meeting between the Arab League's Assistant Secretary General and a Hezbollah member of Lebanon's parliament. There are other political parties in Lebanon that don't wield the kind of power that Hezbollah does, but the head of the Phalange Party, which is a conservative Christian political party, saying he rejects Hezbollah's monopolizing decisions of peace and war, and the fact that Hezbollah appears to be dragging Lebanon into a war that will bring death and tragedy. Coming up, diesel-powered electric vehicle charging stations. Yes, this is the future of green energy. That's next on 5 in 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to take a quick break to tell you how you can get your copy of both of these incredible new works in the Out of This World and Gate of the Gods special offer. When you order this incredible offer from the SkywatchTVStore.com, you'll receive the brand new book, Out of This World, Are UFOs Aliens, Spirits, or Pure Hokum, by Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, that exposes the faults in both the science and theology regarding the existence of UFOs. The very real possibility that UFOs are manned by extraterrestrial beings much smarter and far more spiritual than humans that are preparing to deceive mankind as we approach the biblical end times. The recent surge of UFO activity all around the globe, and why Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis is calling for Project UFO, a national strategy to determine if we face an existential threat, and so much more. But that's not all. You'll also receive Gate of the Gods, Revelation, the Messiah, and the Second Coming of Babylon by Tyler Gilreath, that brings to life the war between Jesus Christ and the power of darkness as illuminated in the book of Revelation. A cosmic end-time struggle between the Hebrew king of promise and the Old Testament gods of Babylon. The hidden Babylonian framework in the book of Revelation that can only be seen through ancient Near Eastern eyes. Unmasking Babylon the Great, and more. Also included in this must-have special offer for a very limited time, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis's best-selling book, Give Me Liberty, Not Marxism, and his book, Kings of the East, China's Plan to Eliminate America and Impose a Communist World Order. All of these items hold a retail value of $84. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Out of This World and Gate of the Gods special offer right now.
Item number one today, green dreams. That's what happens when you get high on hopium, hoping that things will turn out the way you want them to. Businesses that build electric vehicle charging stations are saying that getting enough electricity for their stations is a real problem, perhaps fatal to the Biden administration's commitment to electric vehicles. Of 211 developers surveyed, 3/4 of them said that the limitations of the electric grid are their biggest roadblock. You can't get enough electricity to put in the stations because of the current limitations of the electric grid. Here we are, supposedly on the verge of converting to green, renewable energy, getting rid of coal-fired power plants, nuclear plants are there. No, we can't have those. That's all bad. And yet we want to convert everybody to an electric vehicle, which puts a huge demand on the existing power grid. Where's that power going to come from? Total cost of the infrastructure, according to 63% of the respondents, a big problem. Delays in getting permits, cited by another 53% of the developers. Some developers unable to get information from utilities in a timely manner. Some are seeing major price spikes that make the projects non-viable. And many of the EV developers, to get around the problem caused by the limitations of the electric grid, the powers or the price of power coming from these utility plants, they're installing gas or diesel-powered generators on location to generate the electricity needed to power the cars, meaning that the cars, instead of running on coal, are running on gasoline or diesel. in which case, why not just get an internal combustion engine and cut out the middleman? Here in the Ozarks, the closest EV charging station to where we live is 20 miles away, but 20 miles in the Ozarks, that's a 45-minute drive. You're never going to get people in rural America to go for this. It's just not going to happen. This week in Skywatch TV, we continue our discussion of the overlap, the intersection of the UFO phenomenon and Babel, Gate of the Gods. That's what Babel means. Tyler Gilreath, the author of that book, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, his new book on the UFO phenomenon called Out of This World. Fascinating discussion, but it just shows that, look, we, the people who believe in the Word of God in the Bible, actually have answers to some of these weird things out there. You can find all 4 of these programs now at skywatchtv.com. Our website always has all of our video content, including these daily news updates. Just keep that in the back of your mind in case we ever get canceled from your favorite video site. You can also find it right now over the air, our broadcast schedule posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. If you've got a set-top box like Roku or Apple TV, make sure you've got the Skywatch TV channel installed there. You can watch the programs there, or you can catch it right now over the internet, rumble.com/SkywatchTV, or on YouTube, the main program there at Skywatch Television. But better yet, guarantee we never get canceled. We won't be canceled from our app. All of our video content goes there. It's got additional features like a link to our streaming videos site for presentations and documentary films, calendar of upcoming events, even an audio Bible with multiple translations right in the palm of your hand, whether you're holding an iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire device. We've got apps for all of those and links to their app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. You can follow us online, 5 in 10, youtube.com/@5in10, or X, formerly Twitter, @5_in_10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.
Hi friends, Pastor Mike Spaulding here to announce the Go Therefore 2024 conference. We will gather Friday and Saturday, July the 26th and 27th at Harvest Revival Center in Brookville, Ohio. This year we welcome the following scholars, Bible teachers, and researchers: Derek and Sharon Gilbert, Joe Horn, L.A. Marzulli, Dr. Judd Burton, Pastor Paul Begley, Pastor Carl Gallops, Dr. Greg Reed, Tom Dunn, and Dr. Sherry Tenpenny will be doing a book signing for her new book, Walking with God. Live stream is available. Ministry tables are available for like-minded ministries. Hotel and other information is on the conference website, www.gothereforeconference.com. Gothereforeconference.com. Looking forward to seeing you.